Martin Amidu, don't politicize Airbus saga. And at the Assembly of Heads of State Government, President crowned champion of AU financial institutions.
Front page of the Daily Guide newspaper. Big statement here. Who is government official wants brother in Airbus scandal? Comes with a photo of former President John Dramani Mahama. Major healthcare option launched. Coup plotters file for bail again. Barclays Bank still here. Now Absa Bank.
Now the finder, big story. Government clears all BDC legacy debts.
Hey, somebody's smiling to the bank today.
Yes, the senior will see handshake with the vice president.
That is a big man.
See, at home,
1 billion.
Kai. Afa.
We are going for our share.
I liberty.
I tell you.
Now,
No, Dr. Dijimia.
yeah,
Big man.
Dr. Yetiomia. Now, more stories from the finder. Trade Ministry to hand over GCNet West Blue systems to Unipass.
Okay.
And Ghana card, 8.5 million registered. And Dr. Baumia comments Absa Bank support to Ghana.
Front page of the Statesman says Osofo Chirabusum gears up for 2020 with manifesto launch. That's the GUM party.
Yes.
Ghana Union something.
Yeah, they did their launch yesterday. It was quite impressive, Bernard.
Yeah, he has a TV station. And sometimes when I go to certain places, they talk
Fire
about him.
TV.
I actually watched their launch, quite lengthy, with different pastors and other people speaking.
Yeah.
And some of the things they said, if you really listen to them, they are making a case for Ghana too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see how we can talk about that later. Still in the
front page.
Statesman.
Mahama is still running high on the front pages of some of the papers. Emails finally nail Mahama. Confirm JDM's Embraer chop letter. Then African Union under President Akufo-Addo. Rawlings is also here. Says he's charging Christians to be fearless like Jesus Christ.
I tell you.
Now, the Dankwa Institute is on the front page of the New Crusading Guide, and they are talking about the Airbus scandal. They say Mahama must break his silence. Unipass needs GCNet West Blue systems to operate. There's a picture of the Minister of Trade, Kojo Chemating Alan, on the front page. Embraer aircraft negotiations. Mahama letter not fake, as presidential aides email communication throws NDC's defense into limbo. Akufo-Addo appointed Africa Union Financial Institution champion, and Wager gets new chief.
Front page of the BNFT. Absa Bank launches with commitment to support economic growth. Corporate governance directives bearing fruits. This according to the governor of the BOG. Says banks, board members, CEOs retire. Board executives undergoing training. Total taxpayers to jump to 16 million by year end. And then I will end with the front page of the graphic business. Welcome Absa Bank Ghana.
Now, there is the Chronicle as well. When dollars are flowing, coins are making noise. Ejisoman Senior High School at it again. Akufo-Addo gets new appointment at AU, and Ghana to become oil giants in Africa. This is Egbert Fable.
Online news, citynewsroom.com. Baumia to catalogue MPP's achievements at town hall meeting today. Also, an unresolved murder cases offer bounties, rewards for information. This is former CID boss Bright Odro. Also, Akufo-Addo named champion of African Union financial institutions, and government clears $1 billion legacy debt owed bulk distribution companies. There's also an interesting one here. I don't control law courts. Regional Minister of Ashanti over unresolved murder cases in his region. Meanwhile, Mensgo customers to face court today for storming number one's residence. Now, if you go to citybusinessnews.com, government must review revenue projections over Talos woes. This is IES. Now, the 1 billion legacy debt is trending. It's also on citybusinessnews.com. Government clears 1 billion legacy debt. MyJoyOnline.com. Pharmaceutical companies cut supplies to hospitals over NHIS payment delay. We are following up on this story today. Also, my majority poised to push through approval of over $990 million loan for Poalugu Dam. Meanwhile, GES has been condemned for debordinizing 7 Ejisuman SHS girls over viral video. So that story is also trending on Joy Online. And then, of course, Glitz Glamour at St. Mary's as EC Chair and other past students marks 70th anniversary.
And it was a top squad that went.
St. Mary's are not easy at all. Mary's, they are strong. They are very, very powerful. Now, let me take you to a few stories. If you go to Nigeria, the Premium Times is leading with a story I find quite interesting. Burkina Faso president heads ECOWAS committee to investigate Nigeria's border closure. Right, that's the lead story there. Now, if this is Nigeria, one of their main papers. Now, somebody is also asking Buhari to sack his service chiefs over insecurity. Okay, because they have issues there. Now, the Mail and Guardian in South Africa is saying that conflict is escalating in central Mali, according to Human Rights Watch. And part of that is spilling into Burkina, which is why making the Burkina president the man checking Nigeria border is very interesting. Now, Trump's ambassador to South Africa under fire for nepotism allegations. This is also a lead story in one of South Africa's newspapers, the Premium Times. Now, let me take you to Bloomberg this morning. It says, deaths top 1,000. US confirms 13th infection. This is the virus update. And then some other details. UK steps up quarantine powers as virus outbreak spreads. As Asia panics, one country wins praise for approach to virus. And air travel's bid to go green could get pricier thanks to the virus. So the economic effects of the coronavirus is what Bloomberg is focusing on. If you go to the US, Washington Post, on the eve of New Hampshire vote, Democratic candidates refocus attacks on Donald Trump. Trump jostles with Democrats for spotlight in early voting states. So they are doing their own internal politics as we do ours. And then, of course, in Kenya, Arap Moi's funeral service is underway. And Uganda responds to locust infection. All this is happening in our country, in our world. Yes. Let's start with Ghana.
Okay, let's start with the front.
I think this Ejisuman thing is serious
because let's start with education.
It's trending quite serious.
So start with Ejisuman, then I'll give you the science and maths quiz.
The Times has a story on Ejisuman.
Actually, the Chronicle has the lead story, yes, and it's talking about when dollars are flowing, we see coins. And this is the second time the school has come in the news.
Agnes Ansa and Richard Owusu Echan writes for the Chronicle that the Ashanti Regional Directorate of the Ghana Education Service says it is still deliberating on the future of the 7 students of Ejisuman Senior High School who have been expelled from the boarding house following their misconduct. The PRO of the Ashanti Regional Directorate of the Ghana Education Service told the Chronicle in a phone interview on Monday. Earlier, the headmaster of the school, Mr. Kweku Amobrenya, after engaging management and parents of the affected students, wrote a letter expelling the students from the boarding house. The 6 students, who are all in their final year, were accused of using a mobile phone, which is prohibited in the basic and high schools, to, quote, intentionally upload a video on social media where unprinted words that border on sex were spewed out, unquote. In the video, the girls were heard saying...
Unprintable, not unprinted.
Unprintable, sorry. Yes. Unprintable words. That's what they've written. Right? It's my mistake. Yeah. Now, in the video, the girls were heard saying in both Twi and English, quote, even if I'm a prostitute, you have same in your house. Even if I'm an armed robber, you have same in your house. When dollars are flowing, coins are making noise, unquote. The school indicated that these and other words which the girls uttered were unacceptable, hence their expulsion from the school. They were also cited for damaging the image of the school, which is recovering from a 2017 scandal, as one of the reasons for the deboardingization.
Other people have reacted to this. For example, Charles Rights International says, don't sack errant Ejisuman students, rehabilitate them. Story says a non-governmental organization, Charles Rights International, has condemned authorities of the Ejisuman SHS for expelling. They didn't expel them. They deboardingized them. So I don't know whether they don't understand deboardingization. But the story says for expelling 7 female students from the school's boarding house. Because it's a statement they issued. The 7 who were all final year students have been accused of using a mobile phone, which is prohibited, etc., etc. Now, as the director of Charles Rights International, Bright Appear, says the right approach in dealing with the students is not to expel them from the boarding house, okay, but rather provide them with needed medical attention. Seriously? I mean, boarding house is...
Medical attention.
I don't know. Well,
maybe counseling would have been the word.
He's basically saying they shouldn't have asked them to leave the boarding house.
Yes, but rather give them counseling.
Well, I mean, boarding house when I was in secondary school, deboardingization was a serious punishment. Yes. So, but you can still go to school, take your classes, and probably spend more time with your parents. So
my headmaster would tell you boarding house is a privilege.
Yeah, especially in these times.
Same thing.
So the thing about this story is that it's trending on social media much more than mainstream media. The Chronicle is the only paper that led with it.
Yes, but there are other education stories. On the front page of the Daily Graphic is the National Science and Maths Quiz one.
Yes.
And then on 28, let me start with 28, deal with fire outbreak in schools.
Yes.
Africa Education Watch.
Yes.
Africa Education Watch, a non-governmental organization, has called on the Ghana Education Service to liaise with the Ghana National Fire Service and the respective district security committees to organize school fire prevention safety outreach exercises in all senior high schools. Good call. In addition, it said the Ministry of Education should provide emergency funding towards the provision of temporary residential facilities while repair works at the various dormitories should commence as soon as possible.
Now,
It
how many
said-
schools have had fires?
We
so
had reported 5 last week. It said the frequency, nature, and outcome of the fires remained a source of concern as all the fires occurred in the dormitories when students were in the classroom. Now, according to investigations, it reports that, according to them, they are saying investigative reports into the fire outbreaks must be made public and should feed into the GS's school safety strategy to ensure that civil society organizations and the media are able to track compliance of schools with the report. Then,
All right.
when you go to the front page
Yes,
of the
still on
Daily Graphic,
education.
they are saying that the Conference of Heads of Assisted Secondary Schools chair says it will be difficult for schools to organize their students for this year's National Science and Maths quiz at the regional and national levels as a result of inadequate funds. We therefore wish to inform management that until adequate funds are made available, schools will not be in the position to participate in the NSMQ in any form. A letter signed by the president of CHAS, Alhaji Yakub
Wow.
Abi Abubakar, and addressed the Director-General of the GES, said,
When it means funds available, what does it mean? Is it saying that the government needs to give the schools money to prepare?
well, from when prime time was reached, they are saying that before the free SHS policy was introduced, students were levied for the competition.
Okay.
The money never went to prime time.
Okay,
It went to
okay,
CHAS,
okay,
out of
okay,
which
okay,
the program
okay.
was paid for.
So now that there's free SHS, there's all kinds of payments have been
Halted.
Yes. So I'm told that even if you have to make a payment, it has to be voluntary and the school doesn't have to announce it. So it would appear as though because of that, the CHAS component of the money required for teachers to prepare the students is not
Yes.
available.
Yes.
And nobody's going to ask students to pay any money because the government is going to come after you.
You can fight for it.
Now, still, since you're talking about payments, pharmaceutical companies cut supplies to hospitals over NHIS payment delay. Indeed, yesterday the association sent a statement to us. Now, this story is on my journal online. It says dealers in medical supplies say they have been forced to get heavy on medical facilities following the delay in the payment of debts owed them. The supply companies have therefore resolved not to render their service to medical facilities indebted to them. A release issued by the Chamber of Pharmacy Ghana yesterday, February the 10th, and signed by Chairman Harrison Kofi Abutiate, directed the pharmaceutical companies to abide by the resolutions reached at their last meeting on January the 22nd. Per the resolution, the companies are to request the hospitals to provide a payment guarantee before medicines can be supplied to them. It also resolved that health facilities owing more than 3 months shall no more enjoy any credit facilities from our members. This, the chamber argues, is the only way to sustain the companies. Meanwhile, we call on government to, as a matter of urgency, ensure adherence to the NHI Act on reimbursement to service providers, the chamber added. They've also appealed to government to review the current Ministry of Health framework contract and revert to the decentralized procurement system by the regional health directorates and teaching hospitals through national competitive tenders. This could become a big issue if money is not made available to pay these people, because you would notice that a lot of the facilities in the rural communities would be more affected than even the big ones in the urban centers. So this is just in relation to payment of monies.
Now let's stay with the health sector and related matters. If you go to the Ashanti region, registered nurses are saying that they are demoralized over the murder of the colleague. This is Nurses and Midwives Association speaking. Still in the Ashanti region, in the case of the murdered nurse, the crime scene has been set ablaze.
Can you imagine?
And the minister for the region says that he's speaking about the case, and he says that he doesn't control the law courts, and he's also not responsible for people's security.
The story is here. So Ashanti Regional Minister Simon Semester says he cannot be held responsible for unresolved murder cases in the region. According to him, the law courts are handling the cases and they should be held accountable. What has been the cause of death of the people who've been killed? Some are family issues. We do not bundle all these issues as one that are different causes. Those that were between husband and wife, the cases are in court, and I do not control the law court. So once the issue gets to the law court, it is the court that handles it. If you want to find out why the cases have been unresolved, you should call the court, he said. The minister, who is also the head of Ashanti Regional Security Council, further indicated that he cannot be held responsible for the security of residents in the region. Well, we thank him for telling us that. So people should decide who should be held responsible.
Yes, but it was also
Now, aside from the death of Ruth Ama Ishan, the story then catalogues other killings. Suspected murder of 21-year-old woman Augustina Tindanzo at Ahinima Kokobing new site, 15 January 2020. Killing of a middle-aged woman at Kokobing near Asafo Boachi Hospital in Ashanti region. Killing of Comfort Uswe Free AK Mamiya Asida Crescent Hotel at Denyame in Kumasi. Killing of Asampohini of Otunfo or Eneba Kwejo Afodio by armed assailants in Okranza Road, also in 2019. killing of 2 women believed to be 25 and 30 on the 23rd of March 2019 near Samad Hotel, Abrepo, and the killing of a woman believed to be in her late 30s, July 18, 2019 at Santasi Epire near Kumasi.
Let's take you to some other stories, Bernard. If you go to page 3 of the Ghanaian Times, Osafo 4 others ask court to commit AG to prison for contempt. Now, the story says Mr. Yao Opon, the counsel for the senior minister, Mr. Yao Osafo and 4 others, yesterday moved an application seeking the court to commit Mr. Daniel Yao Domelovo, the Auditor-General, to prison for contempt of court. This was done in the judge's chamber, but the Ghanaian Times has gathered that Mr. Opon would finish his legal argument at the next adjourned date on February 24, 2020.
This case doesn't, anyway, I don't think it speaks well for the coordination of our efforts to fight corruption, because this is an Auditor General and a senior minister, 2 people who are supposed to be on the same side in this fight. Meanwhile, there's money available. Government clears $1 billion legacy debt. The Finder has that story.
The BDC.
If you can find it for me.
Yes, that story is here.
The smiling senior Hosi story.
Yeah, and this story is saying that.
Yes, it says the government has finalized all payments in respect of the bulk oil distribution company's legacy debts accrued over the period of July 2011 to June 2015, plus interest capped at March 2018. This took place on January 13, 2020. Now, the payments were executed in the form of the ESLA bonds to Legacy Bonds Limited, an SPV jointly owned by the Ghana Association of Bankers and the Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors, for redistribution to beneficiary banks and petroleum service providers.
Wow.
Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors, Senior Hosi, announced this in a statement yesterday. Now, there is a chart that tells us how much has been paid so far. So, cash payments, 444.7 million USD. Bank of Ghana bonds, 219.08 million USD, and ESLA bonds, 339.28 million USD, bringing everything to $1.003 billion.
So where does that leave our energy sector debts? So the BDC one was a huge chunk of it, but there are other energy sector debts.
There are other energy sector debts. The ECG debts are there, VRA related debts are there,
Even
Ghana
Gridco.
Gas related debts, Gridco, and all those are still unresolved.
But this is significant. $1 billion, that's a large amount. Now,
well, let's do some politics. A lot of politics related story.
Yes.
Daily Guide is still going after former President Mahama.
they are looking for
the Empire.
government official 1.
Yes, in the Airbus.
But have they
scandal.
found intermediary 5?
No, they have not.
They are still looking for him.
Yes.
Okay.
But I want to tell you about Osofuchira Busum.
Yes.
On the front page of the Daily Statesman, who has done his national manifesto launch.
Okay.
So that story is on page 3 of the story of the paper. The flag bearer of Ghana Union Movement, Reverend Christian Kwabena Andrew, popularly known as Osofuchira Busum, on Sunday launched the party's manifesto for the 2020 general elections. The manifesto, dubbed the New Ghana, according to Osofuchira Busum, will ensure that the party readopts the policies of Ghana's first President, Kwame Nkrumah. Well, a few highlights, but
Yes.
according to them, they are going to do a duty-free port.
Okay.
There's, in terms of education, he has given the assurance, if elected, the party will review Ghana's current educational system to make it more technical. This will help in the development of country. He said the current syllabi for basic, second cycle, as well as tertiary institutions have failed to prepare students to have the technical ability or critical thinking skills to address development challenges.
Okay.
He says he will introduce community service for prisoners, and he says certificates will not be the basis for appointments in his government. He's also talking about a welfare package for persons who retire at the age of 60.
But who is he?
Well, he's a reverend minister.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. Like, what is his claim to fame? Because I'm
No,
told that he has a
claim to
It's,
Fame is his church.
it's his church.
yeah. So like, I hear he has a TV station as well.
Yes, Fire
That's the
TV.
and then he
station.
shows a lot of,
It goes to shrines to cast out demons and evils.
and then he also shows some features on Kwame Nkrumah's
Yes.
industrialization and things like that.
He's managed to bring a few of the popular.
I see. And his message is resonating.
I
mean,
there is nothing.
Right now, come on.
Yes, there's
Too
nothing
early.
concrete now.
Okay.
But what I can say is I see a lot of his stickers in town and billboards
And
around.
he's in the newspapers every day.
Is it
Every other day you see his story
in the newspaper?
Yeah.
Now,
All right.
Bernard,
Well, whilst he's doing that, Baumia is also going to catalogue his party's achievements at the town hall meeting in Kumasi today. Story says the Akufo-Addo government will today, Tuesday, February 11, outline their achievements at the town hall meeting in Kumasi. The meeting, which will be led by the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, will be followed by a results fair, where government's major gains will be displayed in the form of pictures and videos.
Okay.
Information Minister has been speaking about this, and he claims it will be a heavily data-driven exercise made available to the Ghanaian public and other stakeholders immediately afterwards. Evidence of work done will be mounted in a results fair exhibition, which will be led by the Ministry for Monitoring and Evaluation, similar to what took place in Accra a few weeks ago.
I'm happy to be data driven.
Trade Ministry to hand over GCNet, West Blue Systems to Unipass.
Eh?
This is the finder.
Wow.
Now, the story says the government faces an uphill task to fulfill critical conditions precedent to pave way for the implementation of the controversial Unipass contract. In the contract, government has committed to hand over the Ghana Community Network Service Limited and other third-party operations to Unipass. This includes Ghana's single-window trade operations and other support services relating to processing of customs documentation at the ports to the contractor.
Hey, this is something that some have kicked against.
Yes, there's a story in one of the papers about it not bringing judgment that you can graphic business. You can find that and read it. But let me tell you about how Ghana is earning some good dollars from raw cashew nut exports.
Okay.
That's on the back page of the Daily Graphic. Ghana earned $378 million from the sale of 110 tons of raw cashew nuts in 2018. The amount represented 43% of the total revenue obtained from non-traditional export commodities in the country. The Director of Crop Services of the Ministry of Food and Agric, Mr. Seto Sakoto, announced this at the opening of a one-week technical upskilling development training program on cashew value chain promotion in Sunyai yesterday. Yeah, and well, Kojo, your Tree Crop Development Authority is coming.
Yes, and
The government has passed
on
that,
Cashew,
so-
the GEPA says that we have the capacity to even export over $1 billion if you pay attention to that.
So cashew can
That'll be
become
some good
the
money
new
for us,
cocoa.
Yes, and there is a special feature actually on the Ghana Export Promotion Authority.
What are they saying?
In the New Crusading Guide, page 8. I've seen it in other newspapers. It's titled The Journey to Excellence. And this feature catalogues the work that the GEPA has done and the opportunities for non-traditional exports. So if you have some money sitting somewhere and you want to invest somewhere, you may want to read this to get some ideas as to what to do.
Let me give you a final quick round of stories. So Barclays Bank Ghana yesterday officially commenced operations as ABSA. There was a big ceremony graced by the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, and the Governor of the Central Bank, Ernest Addison. And the CEO of the bank, Abena Osepoku, says, as one of Africa's largest banks, backed by a large capital base and balance sheet, will continue to play a leading role in Ghana's development agenda while we remain focused on serving Ghanaians with quality. So that's number one. Number two, you're interested in this. Conflict is escalating in central Mali.
Yes, I was listening
says
to the
Human Rights
reports
Watch.
this morning.
And we need to be careful here. In 2019, at least 456 civilians were killed in attacks by armed groups in central Mali, making it the deadliest year since the country's current political crisis began in 2012. A new Human Rights Watch report, which is titled "How Much More Blood Must Be Spilled? Atrocities Against Civilians in Central Mali," documents these deaths, detailing atrocities committed in the area by armed groups and illicit and ethnic militants. It says that the civilian death toll is likely to be much higher than it has been able to prove. Right. And then the story then catalogs some of the ways in which the groups work.
Yeah.
And then the other story that concerned me was the I won't say it's concerned, it's just quite interesting. Burkina Faso president heads ECOWAS committee to investigate Nigeria's border closure. And this is the lead story in the Premium Times in Nigeria. And I thought that was
What is
quite,
there to investigate?
Yeah.
and I just thought Authority of ECOWAS Heads of Government has constituted a committee headed by President Roch Kabore of Burkina Faso to study and make a full report of Nigeria's land border closure with her neighbors. The decision set up the committee was agreed Sunday night in Addis Ababa at an extraordinary session of ECOWAS leaders convened on the margins of the 33rd AU summit to discuss the issue and other pressing regional matters.
Bernard, before we go, there's something I'm worried about. The Ghana card.
What's happening to it?
There's a story in the Finder. Ghana card registers 8.5 million Ghanaians.
You should be happy. Why are you worried about that?
I'm not happy. If you look at the period we've used in registering people and even the regional breakdowns. For example, the whole Ahafo region, they registered 141,000 people. Upper West.
But have they finished?
They've moved on to a different region now. But the point I'm making is that
okay.
we want to capture 30 million Ghanaians.
The whole Afro region, there is 100 and what?
141,000 people.
Are you sure?
Upper West, it's here. The breakdown is here. Upper
But-
West,
But
146,000.
in terms of the calendar, are they finishing with these regions?
Yeah, in the central and western.
My point is, they've done even Greater Accra, right? Greater Accra's population is over 5 million. They've done 1.9 million. They went to Ashanti, similar population figures. They did 2.4 million.
It's too slow for
the
you.
rate is too low for me.
the process
To
is
capture
frustrating.
all Ghanaians, Charlie, this thing, we really need to look at the processes again and make it better.
That's a good one. Thank you, Kojo. That was a newspaper review. Coming up next is the Citi Business News. Stay with us.
This is the Citi Breakfast Show.